interdimensional realities and you, pointing at me, you, yeah, if you've been watching these videos up until now, you probably don't know what to think, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to give you something to think about. So, thanks for joining again. Hopefully you've been watching the preceding videos in the correct order to kind of get to this place of looking at each other like, now what? Because if you have watched our videos up until now, that's exactly probably what you're thinking. I'm sitting here looking into the camera lens thinking, now what? Now what do I tell these people? Because when you have this initial experience where I left off of witnessing these beings, okay, here's a few things I can tell you basically for sure. You're going to be able to go back into the state of mind very easily. How is that? Well, the state of mind that you're in when you have these spiritual experiences will become a rememberable muscle memory sort of thing. You're going to be able to settle right into that state and mindset and cause all this stuff to happen. Now, the first time you do it, you're not merely settling in. You're focusing on all this and that, and this, I got to remember to do this, and I got to remember to do that. Remember not to do this, all while not actually thinking of any of that. And getting away from all of those thoughts long enough not to have any thought. These thoughts, these ideas, and these instructions of what to do and not to do while you're having no thought are pointers to what you need to, what needs to occur or where you need to be in order to have the correct or ideal non-thought. So they're really pointing you to something unspeakable. And this is unspeakable, that's unspeakable. You just need to know these things so that you do them. And if you know them enough that you do them in non-thought, then you will maintain the kind of thought that needs to be maintained, which is non-thought. You will have the quiet calmness of mind, the still, undistracted, focused, piercing, watching mindset. Silent witness mindset. That's where all this is. All the instruction is to point somebody to how to be still when they're practicing it. So one thing I'll say is, you know, when you study meditation and you study the practices given by different beings, you know, teachers and whoever, and they tell you about all this non-thought state, and you think, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that, and what we tend to try to do is we try to implement all of this information all at the same time in our daily life. And one thing that I learned through this breakthrough is that it needs to be applied. All this information, it needs to be heard, it needs to be applied, but not all of a sudden in your daily life walking around. It's not really realistic. It's not feasible because that daily sense of stillness actually grows out of a seed of stillness. So you really just need to be able to do it for a very short period of time during a meditation. So that's what makes the meditation experience and the practice of meditation the important thing. All of the stillness is going to grow out of that. You don't have to be perfect before you go into meditation. It's backwards, okay? Think of it like a funnel. You know, you're trying to funnel all this down into a single point. It's going to be very difficult. But if just coming out of a single point, you're coming out of the other side, it's like coming out of the other side of an hourglass. We need to get to a point of stillness and silence, and then something emerges from the other side. But if you take an hourglass and you cut out the middle and you just go straight down, I'm going to apply all this straight into another dimension, like, you know, all at the same time so I can be in another dimension without going into and applying it and letting it resolve itself or unfurl itself. It's not, I don't know how you could have it happen. I mean, I spent my whole life trying to do it that way, misunderstanding that this all needs to take place over the course of just a little bit, just a few moments, And then through a rehearsal, through going back into that moment, maybe a couple minutes a day, maybe more, ideally much more. One of the things that you're going to notice, though, once you become observant and you become aware of these other experiences that are happening and these other beings that are all around you, it's going to be a kind of a twofold thing. Curiosity, it's like every time the light goes out. Now, why do I say the light goes out? Because you can't see the stuff in the daylight, okay? But because our spiritual eye is weaker initially in comparison to our physical eye, which sees a dense light, that sensitive light that's all around us tends to be invisible. In darkness, there's nothing of the physical world to hinder your sight. So it becomes, by contrast, much brighter. In the daylight here, though, if we're focused and still, where there are shadows, there we see the light that is all around us. And as we strengthen, we'll be able to see these beings over and above the physical objects. That eye strength can be brighter than bright enough to overcome the physical eye. Okay. So, with that said, we'll also be drawn into seeing these beings on accident. Because now, when you sit in stillness and you're thinking nothing, let's say you take your car into the shop and you're sitting in the waiting room and you're just sitting there just zoned out, as you would be prior to meditation. Now your brain knows a new state of relaxation, a new a new level of stillness, and it just rests on that level automatically without thinking about it. And before you know it, you start to see this, and you see that, and you see this. And as I found myself, I began to go into these beginning interdimensional states on accident without even trying. And now it's something that when I'm turning out the lights, I'm preparing for what I'm going to encounter. I'm going to see this hovering over me at night. I'm going to see this at my feet. And we haven't even, in another video, I'm going to talk about opening up your intuition, because intuition isn't simply just a nudge of knowing something. It's a whole nother faculty. It's a whole nother sixth sense. And now we're building up senses. You call it sixth, or you call it seventh. Okay? And it's a tactile sensation. Something that we all already feel, but we don't have any understanding of what we're feeling or what it means. I'm going to explain all that, and once you become conscious of this, it'll be difficult for you to become unconscious of it again, which is what we want. We want to become knowledgeable of this once and for all. And with that intuition, we'll be able to navigate, and I probably should have opened with this, and maybe we should just put the videos for that first, because when we're navigating in this astral plane and we're seeing these beings and these soul forces, they're actually the things that are already touching us every day. We just don't see them. So it doesn't mean they're not there for you. You just don't see them right now. They're invisible. When you see them, we'll have a tendency to maybe become scared or freaked out, but we have to remember, they were always there. It's like being in a dark room and somebody turning on the light. Oh, there's a chair there. Why should we feel any different in one sense? Because it was always there and we were fine. In the same way, you'll be fine when you see these things, but it will raise questions. And your relationship to them will become more apparent, because now you're seeing what you didn't see before. You'll see the connection between your thoughts and your feelings and the creation or the change or manipulation of these soul forces, these beings at different shapes, sizes, forms, characteristics. On the floor, it's two-dimensional, it's walking around, it's this, it's that, it's flipping, it's going to here, all these different things. And so by understanding the language of the body and these tactile sensations of the intuition, then we'll understand when we're actually having thoughts. We don't even realize we're having thoughts. We're observing and we're holding a consideration about what we're seeing. That itself is a thought, is a consideration. that can be a barrier to your growth. I mean, that's a barrier to going deeper. So then we look back, we say, we're thinking a thought because we're having this feeling, and then we watch our thoughts, we see it, and we stop.